The side proposition is proud to defend freedom of speech. We're proud to defend freedom of expression, and we refuse to defend the copyright laws that fail to protect these. Copyright refers to the acknowledgement of ownership of intellectual property, and therefore copyright laws refers to legislation by governments for the prosecution of usage of these intellectual property without the prior consent of the owners. Free Internet refers to the unregulated platform for distribution of information with three main objectives. Firstly, to connect people, secondly, to stimulate innovation, and thirdly, to catalogue and store this information. And therefore, when we say free Internet is at stake, is when any of these three foundational objectives of the Internet are at risk of being undermined, therefore threatening the very existence and functionality of the Internet. In the context of today's debate, copyright laws inherently undermine free Internet because they are an inordinately blunt tool that not only affects illegal users but penalizes all users of the Internet. Moreover, there is a spectrum of producers with different objectives and agendas. Some producers aim to create material for profit, while others aim to create information for legacy. This debate should encompass this entire spectrum. Today we stand for a policy with two main clauses. The first clause is that we do not stand for the active policing of these copyrights by the governments in lieu of the owners. An example of a government actively policing a law would be when government prosecutors try suspects as criminals, resulting in jail time or fines. This means that even if producers don't wish to press charges, the state has to step in. We refuse to stand for this. Instead, in Clause 2, we believe that existing channels for filing civil claims are sufficient. This means that producers can take up civil claims against an individual with courts acting only as mediators. This is like real estate disputes between two autonomous individuals. The court only plays the role as the mediator. No laws are created in this process. This illustrates the obsolete nature of copyright laws when alternatives are available. We further clarified that we don't stand for domains like internet fraud and child pornography because of an inherent lack of morality within these domains. We will prove in this debate that there is nothing morally wrong with free sharing of materials online when in fact it benefits both producers and consumers. Side opposition needs to stand against the infringement of copyright regardless of complicity. They need to stand for shutting down domains such as Pirate Bay for sharing illegitimate materials, but by that principle, they also need to extend it to shutting down domains like Google for directing users to illegitimate websites, or even private email domains because private email correspondences could potentially contain illegitimate material. Today's side proposition will further three lines of substantive arguments. We will prove to you how we revolutionize regulation, how we enshrine the freedom of expression, and my second speaker, Agrim, will then prove to you how we promote innovation. And therefore we prove the yardstick for today's debate, that both sides have to clash on whether the archaic forms of copyright law infringes upon the capacities and potentialities of the free Internet to contribute to the world. I'm going to be transiting on to my first point of substantive, on revolutionizing regulation. And the thesis is that copyright laws threaten Internet as they are non-compatible and ineffective in protecting intellectual property.
Sir,
yes, ma'am?
Why people do not deserve the money for your work?
We think people do deserve the money. We just think that copyright laws are archaic and unable to deal with it. I'll point out to you why in my substantive later. I'll flag it off. But back to my point of substantive. Copyright laws were created originally for the protection of non-virtual property, like books and films, which are distinct platforms of information transfer. The Internet is fundamentally different because it is highly accessible and anonymous in nature, which makes copyright laws anachronistic. Let's look at the status quo and how copyright laws are executed. Either entire web domains are shut down or user-controlled prosecution takes place. In the first option of entire domains being shut down, this is far too blunt a tool because it hurts legitimate users as much as it hurts the illegitimate ones. Let's look at Mega Upload, a file sharing site taken down on copyright laws. Just because a few illegitimate videos were uploaded by a few illegitimate users, the entire domain was shut down, all users were affected, even those who uploaded legitimate and original materials. This dogmatic adherence to copyright laws threatens the existence of free Internet, and free Internet is inherently beneficial because it is the marketplace of ideas that forms the foundation to product advancement and creation. But let's look at the second option of user-controlled prosecution. This is largely ineffective because entire teams of state officers are needed to detect just one single user. More often than not, this doesn't even take place because it is virtually impossible to detect these anonymous users who constantly switch ISP addresses. Not only does this infringe on the rights of the users, it comes at the expense of the free internet as a whole. But why are copyright violations so pervasive? And this is the fundamental question in this debate. This is because individuals infringe on copyright not because of an unwillingness to follow the law or an unwillingness to pay, but because of a lack of availability. In less developed countries or places like China, where Facebook and YouTube aren't even accessible, piracy is the only means of achieving information. We could give you an example of iTunes, providing legal and accessible options at cheap prices, gains a net revenue of over $13 billion annually. This illustrates the willingness of users to pay for legitimate options because legal sites give the assurance of quality when they're accessible and affordable. When copyright law violations are permissible, corporations therefore react by making material and pricing more competitive to ensure profit margins. This widespread proliferation allows the largest possible target fulfilling the tenets of free internet. Therefore, violations of copyright law forces stagnating models to shift to a model that increases accessibility of ideas and protects the virtues of free internet and a better protection of intellectual property. I'm going to be transiting on to my second point of substantive on harms to free internet. And the thesis is that copyright laws inherently hurt the ideals of free internet as it hurts freedom of expression. Let's look at what free internet was first conceptualized to do. It was first conceptualized as a place of ideas where any individual can upload any ideas. This was innately an empowerment of the individual because it juxtaposed against other forms of print media where there were high barriers to entry. This enshrines the freedom of expression, which then formed the bastion of free speech in oppressive regimes and the gateway to developed markets in less developed countries. So thank you. Copyright laws necessarily infringe on the rights of the general public just to safeguard the rights of single producers. For instance, to taking down or mega upload, YouTube, other file sharing sites, decided to increase barriers to entry where they banned users based on nebulous ideas of copyright. This meant that YouTube users like Mika or Kurt Hugo, who previously expressed themselves through covers or interpretations of music, were now at risk of being banned for expressing themselves in this way. Because the ideals and benefits of free internet is worth defending, and because copyright laws inherently restricts this freedom, copyright laws should never apply to the internet. So what have we shown you today? We've shown to you an archaic business model of copyright laws that has firstly failed to achieve anything, failed to achieve its initial goals of protecting freedom and protecting intellectual property. We've further proven to you that our business model is better, has a precedent of success, and it practically allows for freedom of expression, which is a good thing that protects individuals in less developed countries, protects people in oppressive regimes, and that's why we're proud to propose.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to call on the first speaker of the opposition to the other.
The part of proposition told us that we should close and censor all we think and that we will break the freedom of speech and all these freedoms. But I will tell you our plan, which means that it will not break the freedom of speech and it will be not as problem as the proposition told us. So, at first, to our plan. Every administrator, we thought that every administrator has a responsibility for what he do. For what he has on his pages, and this is why he should control the program of his site. Then, when the government finds illegal material on these pages, he will write and to this page, to the administrator of this page, and secondly, he will send this on the page. On the internet where all people can see it. How it will work? At first, the providers of the internet will want to have the clean sites where there will be no illegal material because of the good reputation. And secondly, why we want to tell it to the hosts on the internet for all people who want to see it? Because when the people have some legal material on this site, they can prepare for the closing of the site if the administrator will not delete the illegal. When these people can give their legal material on this site, which will not be closed, then there will be no problem of the closing freedom of speech, or only it will be the first part of this program, because in the long-term consequences it will be good. When you see this kind of closing, then you can give your legal material on the sites which will be legal, and it will stop the illegal material. It will stop being the illegal material on the internet, because as a providers, the people too will want to have the illegal material on the internet. How it works, how it is different from the censorship. When people, the censorship is when you close something where what is legal, but you have some reason, not logical or only for you logical, to close this site. But when you will do this, as a motivation for doing legal, like people will have people will know that it will be closed if it will be legal, and they can give this material on the another side. And when the administrator will have the real reason to not to give the illegal material on the pages and ban it, then it will be only the closing of the illegal material, because all people who has the illegal material on this site can get on the other pages, and if it is illegal, we are for the closing of this. And for example, when we see the mega upload, there was the majority of the programs who were illegal. You can see, because this was the page where all the films were for the downloading and for seeing and paying nothing. And this is bad, and this is why the mega upload should be closed, and it's good that it was closed. For the YouTube stay, because when anyone delete, if anyone tell that it's illegal, the material there, then it is no problem for YouTube to close this material, and they delete it. You can see that it's deleted because of due to fragment. You can see it on the YouTube now too. And when we see that the administrator wants to delete all the illegal things on his pages, then we see no problem, and we see no reason to close this site. And it will be not the problem for the society to try to have the legal internet, the things legal, and it will be no reason to close YouTube, only because some people give the illegal material, because the administrator delete the illegal material, and because we don't want to close all the lines because of any small legal material, but we want to close it because the administrator don't want to delete this legal material on his pages when we send him this message. And then this is our first argument. And to the second argument, when we see when we see this is the financial motivation for the people who make this intellectual property. When they want to make a new product, they need to have some money for the motivation to do this. Because when you have no money from this product, you can spend the time on it, because you can live without the money. When you know that you will have no financial motivation, then you see that it will be most of these people will want to stop this making this product, because it's for them bad, and for the society it will be bad too, because people will have no films and no songs, or it will be less of these new products and will be bad for the progress of the society. Yes, sir?
Google has control over what websites are displayed on its site. Should Google be shut down because it directs users to some sites like Pirate Bay?
Google shouldn't be closed because Google wants to have as YouTube wants to, for the example, it's the Google part, wants to have the money, wants to give the money and have the rights to have this on their pages. And if the Google has it can find the illegal material, there is no problem because we see the problem when the administrator has the illegal material on their side, not when we send these people to this side, because this is not the problem of people who has this part on this side. So what I told you is that we can say the copyright law without the breaking of freedom of speech. And secondly, I told you that when we will not send the money to these people, it will be less products, and we will have and these products will not be on the side and will be bad for the society and for the president who made it too, because he will have no what to live from. Thank you.
Now I'd like to hold on to things before those
I'm going to ask two simple questions and we'll distill what their side has presented to us. Firstly, on their policy, and secondly, on this idea of innovation which came out later in their speech, before I move on to my constructive arguments. So the first idea on policy. Now they've come up and told us that there is administrative responsibility on these sites, and the administrators themselves are responsible to take down all the illegal information that goes up on their sites. Now wait a minute. We see that this really follows a pattern of censorship. They're trying to determine what should go on these sites and what should not, what should be legal and what should be illegal. Because till now, in their entire 8-minute speech, we never quite heard what was supposed to be legal, what was supposed to be illegal. Our context laid it out very clearly that we want all of this to be there, something that they never quite done. Now, even if we consider all that they told us, let's look at their policy on some simple heuristic questions. Firstly, who will enforce this? They told us that the administrators have the responsibility to themselves kill out all the illegal material that goes up. But we see that the administrators themselves are some people who want more hits on their website. We see this is precisely the reason why Kim.com, the owner of Mega Upload, was not taking down anything that went on the website. No, thank you, ma'am. And kept letting people upload illegal content on the website. And this is where we see that the administrators have no incentive to kill down illegal material simply because it gives more limelight to the website. But even if we consider that, let's see who's going to enforce this in their policies. We never quite heard who will be the authority that enforces such a policy, seeing that the administrators themselves will not be interested in dealing with any of the ideas that they have presented. So we see that there's a problem of enforcement on that side. But now let's ask another question. When does their policy kick in? They say that they will put in their policy once people start taking down the illegal material. When does the site come down? Does it come down after 1 month, 3 months, 1 year? We don't see when they plan to kill down the websites under their policy, how they plan to take down sites which are violating copyrights. And this is where we see that they do not have a time frame and they do not have an authority that determines how this will happen. But now let's ask another basic question. Why would you do it in the first place? And this is where Mark's POI came in and Mark's policy came in, something that went unrebutted through the entire idea. Mark told you that how it's very crucial to have copyright violations taking place when the free internet is at stake, when people need to go and share and discuss information and share information with each other. Take it a moment, ma'am. And this is where we showed you how important it was to have the free internet, something they never really dealt with, something they never told us why our policy was bad. Yes, ma'am.
Why you need to illegally share someone else's ideas or work?
Madam, we understand that it's illegal in nature, but we need to share it to champion a bigger principle of the free internet, so that there is no restriction and there is no cutting off of medium that allow for such discussions to take place. Take for example, you're sharing something over a file sharing network, or say Reddit for example. If Reddit is sharing some illegal bits and a vast proportion of the site is dealing with legal ideas, for this few illegal material that went up, you take down an entire platform that's being used by millions of people around the world. We see that it's fine to tolerate certain things. That's why we have it in our policy that you can have a civil suit if the producers really want to fight for it. But on our side, we are fine with the current copyright mechanisms that Mark suggested in his policy. So having seen that their policy has failed to deal with any of this, we will move to the second question on innovation. And here the only thing that they told us was there's an issue of money and producers will not be getting paid enough. Firstly, we tell you that producers are not always doing it for the money. Money is just one of the many things. Let's say that they don't get money through their products. They can still get it through pricing or other mechanisms. But even if that's not the case, let's look at other products. Let's look at open source, for example. People still make new products. People still share new ideas in the open market and try and promoting new ideas without the idea of money. It's not always about the money.
Sure.
Innovation can still take place either way. And even if we consider that that's not the case, all artists want to leave a legacy behind them. This is precisely why Google's new operating system, the Android for mobile phones, is free of charge. Google wants to leave a new marking in the operating system realm, and this is why they're doing it that way. Having dealt with both these questions, I'll move on to my point of constructive for today, which is on how our policy promotes online innovation. The thesis of my argument is that permitting copyright infringements on the internet preserves its nature as a platform of powerful innovation through competition and collaboration. Now, we've understood that the internet facilitates production of creative content through its instant, efficient, and free nature. Now, due to this nature of the internet, it's become a platform with increased levels of connectivity for individuals all over the globe. And this has increased the accessibility in the digital age. Now, we see that online communities are increasingly diverse, communities like Reddit, for example. Individuals from all over the world are able to connect, upload, and collaborate, and thus create new material. This creative process of synthesizing value-adding to creative content, such as pictures, songs, videos, or software, is a unique process that is simply seen only on the internet. This is quite different from what we see in labs or factories, for example, where innovation is strictly limited by sample size or projected profits. Now, this grassroots nature of the internet allows consumers to become the developers and creators of the material that they see for themselves, and this is a market-facing approach of innovation. And this too requires a free and unfettered internet. We see this for Apple devices, to how Apple devices are quite restricted in nature, which is why people innovated and came up with the process of jailbreaking, something that became legal in the US Constitution. And this is where we see that all these innovations are beneficial to the end users and boost the creative process. And these are online through sharing, competition, and collaboration, and this is why we want it. When there are copyright laws being enforced, it's a ruthless pursuit and prosecution of individuals and startup companies who tap on these diverse internet milieu. And we see that this harms us in two ways. Firstly, on the reduced competition, and secondly, on reduced collaboration. Let's look at the first tier on reduced competition. We see that it cements oligopolistic hegemony of media and digital industries. These are large, powerful firms who hold most copyrights for the content that's online, including media corporations like Walt Disney or music producers like Sony Music. Now, by virtue of this fact, they have large amounts of copyrights, and thus they have a vested interest to clamp down on the internet to protect their dominance, and thus come up with competitive practices, and thus try to cut down on online copyright laws being enforced. Now, we see the startups suffer because of this, because they cannot value add their content or modify it through the use of the internet. Thus, the internet as a platform is lost for sharing, publicity, or modification. And we see that this is what happened when the oligopolistic firms like Fox and Disney came up with the Copyright Term Extension Act in '98, which is where we saw that the innovators were unable to use these platforms to come up with new material till about 50 to 75 years after the owner's death. Now we see derivation is scaled out, which is a key component of innovation, and thus competition is scaled out through the enforcement of copyright laws, something which is antithetical to online competition. Thus we see that we cannot have this and reduced competition is reduced. On the second smaller idea of reduced collaboration, we see that again in the open source realm, something I mentioned in my rebuttals, we use the internet to connect hundreds and thousands of people and individuals individuals to organize themselves, work together on online projects. But with copyright laws, we completely shut down these collaborative platforms, and programs like Wikipedia, Mozilla Project, and the academic laws are all taken down. Copyright laws remove the platforms required for this collaboration to take place. This hindered collaboration process kills innovation, and thus we see that permitting copyright infringements on the internet preserves its nature as a platform for powerful innovation through competition and collaboration. We are proud to propose.
Thank you for your speech, and I would like to welcome
Ladies and gentlemen, they just didn't get us. And we, on the side of the government, believe that the side of the opposition just clearly doesn't understand our plan, because and that's why I will also repeat, we have shown why this is not the case of censorship, and why we have also stated that we will, by our plan, we will improve the motivation, and we will improve the innovation in our society. And after all, I will show you the principle of our system and how does this reflect our case. Therefore, to the plan, we have stated that the administrators, the server providers, will be responsible what is happening on the internet, what kind of data are presented in the computers, and therefore they will have a right to check whether they are legal or illegal. By illegal, we mean, of course, illegal films which are for the most uploaded for free, and that we don't. That's what we don't support, because we believe, and I was telling you in my last part of the principle of our system, that we don't believe that uploading another's job for free is legal. Moreover, if on the website the state now will find out that there is any kind of illegal material, he will send a warning for the administrator, and all users of the server will be able to observe it. Therefore, if they have any kind of legal material, they can remove it to their own personal computers or into another's providers, because there are plenty of server providers nowadays in the society. Therefore, thank you, sir. Therefore, we believe that we will give people acceptable amount of time to remove their materials. Therefore, if we afterwards would like to close the website, we will not smash any kind of legal material, and there will not be any losses. Therefore, we believe that there would not be any kind of censorship, because all legal thoughts, all legal material will be removed into another place. Only the illegal one will stay, and therefore the illegal one will be vanished. And that's what we stand for. What's bad on this? What's bad on this, sir?
So, tell us how the administrators have an incentive to do this, seeing that there is no enforcement mechanism in your hands.
Of course, I will show you. Because, of course, any kind of server provider wants to have even more users on their computers, right? Every provider wants to have more kind of customers, bigger amount. Therefore, if he wants to show his server as available, as sufficient, as the right one, therefore, he would like to not have this server shut down, and he will therefore try to get rid of any kind of illegal material.
Sir.
No, thank you, sir. And for example, he can solve it by many ways. We can see it in YouTube, because, for example, YouTube is using the robots which are vanishing all kinds of illegal videos. Moreover, he can also ban all the users, and he can ban their IP addresses for whole time to the rest of the world, basically. Therefore, the pirates will not have any other chance to apply illegal things again. Therefore, the providers have a chance. The pirates have a chance to get rid of this and to sustain on the market. Moreover, therefore, I believe that I've shown you that our plan is not the censorship. We are for the free speech, but we are basically armed for the fact that somebody should promote some thoughts of another people. Don't you think so, sir?
It is copyright infringement to have protected music playing in the background or using photos of celebrities without the permission of photographers. Will you take on fan videos and original videos with background music?
We believe that basically the legal material which will be on the website should have a kind of copyright already existed. Therefore, the original videos, of course, you have to know what's the aim, what's the core of the video, or what's the core or the aim of the photo, whatever you have shown. Therefore, we believe that here we can see a big difference. If you are promoting the whole ideas of another person, then it is bad. But if you are saying in another way, basically you are saying something other. You are saying that more in the video that I'm having fun on the music of this person. I'm having fun, and that's the core of the video. Then we believe that it's simply totally different than you are promoting video of another person who is singing there. That's a big difference. So let's turn now to the point of the motivation and innovation. We believe that motivation is very important for today innovators, because innovators, well, firstly, cannot do their job as good as if they would be paid for it. Because if they wouldn't be. For example, one IT guy is sitting in the room and he's making a program. However, he would not be paid for it. Therefore, he would be still forced to find from another work, and therefore he could not have a chance to spend, for example, 20 hours per day for his program, and therefore the product would be, for example, even worse than it could have been. Therefore, we are
Tons of information,
better information. No, thank you, sir. Moreover, motivation. Motivation is the fact that if the acting guys will be paid for this, for example, or the movie makers or singers will be paid for this, we believe that they have a bigger motivation to produce a better product. No, thank you, sir. They will have a better chance, because they will see that, okay, I'm getting money from this, I'm getting maybe a lot of it, but I like it, therefore I will do another thing. And that's good for our society, because we will have more products, more music, more films, and so on and so on. And now I'll turn over to the point of the principle of our system, of our market. Basically, what I've done, I should be paid for it. If I've done something and somebody is using it, I should be paid for that he is using it. And that's totally the same. Here it's totally the same, because we believe that singers, actors, movie makers, and all these kind of people, they are...
Tons of information, sir.
They are doing their job, and part of their job is singing, and part of the job is that people are listening to them. Therefore, if people are listening to them, they should pay for it, because it's part of their job, and the singers have to live from something. They can't just live for free just from air. Therefore, if they would be paid for it, they also, and as I already said, they had a motivation to create another song, another movie, another program, and so on and so on. Therefore, our principle, our system, clearly state that all of these kind of people should be paid for it. And by the fact that we would allow vanish copyright, cancel copyright, therefore they would not be, because everybody would just download it for free. Let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. If a person, for example, the middle class, would have a choice to choose from free, totally free, don't have to pay for it, or something, let's say $13 per one. Obviously, you will take the zero one. You wouldn't like to pay for it. Therefore, we clearly see here that according to their plan, our singers, our movie makers, our programmers will just not be in our society. Therefore, I will show you and explain to you furthermore our plan, which is totally against censorship. I've shown you that our plan supports motivation and innovation, and I've shown you how our principle of our market works. Therefore, in the name of Czech Republic, and in the name of all movie makers, singers, all of these kind, I beg you to propose. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. And now I'd like to call on the next speaker.
The internet was never meant to be policed in the way that side or proposition would police them. The internet was never meant to be forced into a bottle where governments could choose whether or not to censor material on the internet, where governments could shut down internet sites whether they wanted to or not on a whim. We believe that on two large areas of clash today, they have lost the debate. Firstly, on the idea of administrative responsibility, and secondly, on the idea of innovation and protecting the profit incentive and the profit motive for new creations to come about. But let's first talk about administrative responsibility. And this inherently deals with the first large constructive argument that they brought about when they talked about their policy. And here they said that administrators are going to enforce copyright laws because they have a vested interest to. And if they don't, the government is going to mandate that they shut down their sites. Now there are some problems with this. The first problem is that, as we have already shown you, administrators don't have a vested interest to police copyrights on their site. The reason for this is because the administrators on websites have a vested interest in ensuring their websites remain the most vibrant, the most happening, and the most powerful sites on the internet. This means that they need to allow the maximum amount of freedom so that their users can have the maximum amount of interaction and space to share their ideas and to build up on one another. The fact of the matter is that these administrators aren't concerned with your government legislation. What they're concerned with are your users of the internet and the fact that internet websites, because they're so transient, because they can be put up and taken down so quickly, remain with them. And that's why the fact of the matter is, when the population and when most young people in Europe, for instance, actually treasure their ability to share and even violate copyrights online, and this can be seen how the Pirate Party recently won 25% of the voters ages between 20 and 25 to get into the European Parliament. You see that that is precisely the kind of grassroots support that there is for the ability to share on the internet and to not have to follow copyright laws. So precisely because of that fact, administrators are going to have to pander to this, rather than pandering to your government legislation and to your government shutting down your websites. And the reason for this is very simple. It is because even when governments shut down websites, they can never keep them down for long. It's precisely because of the grassroots nature of the internet. They talk about shutting down websites like the Pirate Bay, but the Pirate Bay exists on 20 different servers. And even up to this day, even though it has been taken to court, it still cannot be shut down. Precisely because there's a demand for this kind of service on the internet, a demand to want to share and be organic in terms of